I know a lot of people know like about TD Kelsey and Swamp Donkey and how it's here and maybe like the context in which you explain it to viewers, but I don't know if you guys have ever been curious about how it actually flows as a fountain. So it's actually water that we replenish. I think it's every couple of weeks. We have about 6 jugs at a time that we get delivered in because it is special reverse osmosis water.
I was going to say you need special water.
Yeah, so reverse osmosis, which is a process of filtration, and so because osmosis is when the particles kind of like when you spray Febreze and then the particles travel, and that's why it dilutes the further it travels out as it spreads because it's displacing molecules. So the same thing is how they filter it. So that's the same through water. And then we also have a filter in a bucket, so it actually lives in the base. So there's a bucket of water where it goes in and then comes out, and that's where the filter actually lives, is within it. And that gets replaced a couple months. And so if it wasn't in the base and in the bronze, you could actually drink the water because we use water fountain filters and pure water, like purely filtered water. So it was clean to begin with. So that's why after, it sits and people put things in it, like if there's a party that wants to throw goldfish in there, we charge them a lovely fee because we have to drain the whole thing, we have to change out all the water, we have to get a new filter in there.
Do people ever throw money in there?
Yes. So we do fish it out because if you, with the fountains and stuff, especially with the bronze, it gets really corrosive. So that's how you can see that the coins are actually going to damage it over time. So we do fish those out.
Is there a pump?
So within that base, there's like a large kind of Tupperware of water, and there is the pump with the filter. So that's how it comes up, and it comes up through the antlers, down, and then there's a hole down there.
Get in there?
There's a little hatch in the back, so when they move it back out to the middle of the room, you can kind of see that there's like a little door in the base.
Do you have to get inside?
Yes, so that's kind of where, like, if it's running slower one day, like, you have to get in there and kind of check the filter because things do get stuck in there, and that's why when we do wax it, we do not wax the inside because if we had done that, it would just clog everything up. The Buffalo Bill has the same Swamp Donkey, but theirs is actually in the ground outside, and so I'd be really interested to see how they have a filter. Yeah. So theirs is actually like on the ground level, so you're standing here.
Okay.
So it's really cool because it's like recessed in and it is outside. So I would be interested to see the maintenance of it.
But the maintenance is a lot more.
Because they have leaves in there and just kind of how they have access to their filter if it's in a different place and they have more of a connection. But the other thing that you can see is that it kind of wears away with the grain over time. So the way that we maintain this sculpture and our other sculptures is we regularly dust them. So everybody's just kind of like dusting. It's unsightly and not kind of how we want to present ourselves, but it also holds pollutants and moisture. So it can also damage the frames over time and the sculptures over time because it's holding that humidity, and we work really hard to control our temperature and humidity. You might notice the little screens around the galleries. So we like it at 45%, give or take 5% humidity. But if we have dust on it, the dust is just going to hold that moisture in. So for dusting our sculptures, we use the Hake brush. It's Hake. And then it's a wooden handle, so that way if we do touch it, it's not abrasive. And it's made either with a high quality goat hair or sheep hair. And the way that we clean those over time is actually with this big wax paste. And it actually says like you can clean livestock with it. So it's a paste.
It's like coconut.
That you add. It is kind of like that consistency where it's solid at room temperature until you add Water. Yeah, it says you can use rugs, upholstery, like fine goods.
What is it again?
So it's a paste that we add water to, and that is how we clean the brushes, because it's kind of like a solid soap. And then so that's how we maintain our brushes. And then if it needs a little more maintenance, we do a yearly wax. And then so when we do a yearly wax, we typically use like a Renaissance wax.
Oh,
And then if I open it, you can definitely smell it. Like it might take a minute for it to get to you,
yeah.
but it'll smell.
So it's oil-based.
It smells clean.
Turpentine?
So we try and avoid things with like lacquer thinner,
Smells like wax.
mineral spirits. Those are things that you don't want to use. And then so we'll put this on.
So Renaissance wax is a harder wax.
And we'll normally apply it with like a brush, like a really hard bristle brush. So you don't want too much because you also don't want to weigh down the piece. But then so you get a little bit of wax and then you kind of scrub it in and then immediately wipe it off with a cloth.
How often do you do that?
So that's about once a year. And typically the outside sculptures, it's also once a year. We have a team come in. Emily can talk a little bit more about that, but they said that now that we're doing the regular maintenance, that they might have to come every other year, and then maybe 5 years. So with the regular maintenance and the hot waxing and the regular paste waxing, you might be able to extend.
So you're doing a good job. Yes.
Well, we do have Joe and David.
Yeah,
come
that's what I
out.
mean. You're doing a great.
And then we even have like a different Johnston's paste wax. So again, you look for like mineral spirits, lacquer thinner. Those are things you don't want to use. So then we use that on our sculptures. And then toilet brush for the bird poop. It's fitting. So outside during summer, I'll be out there typically in the morning scraping the bird poop off because it is acidic.
Yeah.
So if you leave it sitting on there, it'll actually change the color of the bronze. So typically I'll use one of these hard bristle brushes, scrape, get it a little wet, and then take the bird poop off. And then the other thing is you can also apply the wax and then wipe it off again. So that's one way that we maintain the outside sculptures. And then I don't know if you want to talk about the actual blowtorching.
Sure. So for the outside sculpture, as you guys know, bronzes are hardy. They're a lot more tolerant than some of our other collection items. So the sculpture trail, as Lizzie mentioned, we do have Joe and David DeDecker, who own a company called Sculpture Services of Colorado. So they come up from Denver once a year in the summertime, and they will assess the outside bronzes and then clean them as necessary. So the first time they were here, they used a process called hot waxing. So they had a blowtorch. So after they pressure washed the surface of the bronzes, they then used the blowtorch to get all of the other wax buildup that had accumulated over the years off. It doesn't hurt the patina if you have someone who knows what they're doing. So David and Joe have been working either with bronze in a foundry or by making bronze as artists or working under conservators who were specializing in that medium for at least 25 years, probably more. So they know what they're doing when it comes to that, and it's not something Lizzie and I can do, which is why we give it over to them. So
They have a huge open flame.
yeah,
you
so
know.
they strip down the wax and other debris that has built up over the years, and then when the bronze has been stripped of the old stuff, that's when they apply the new stuff. With the same technique that Lizzie was saying, they use like a goat hair brush and really get in there in the crevices. And then it's the just upkeep of keeping as many people off them that we can, and birds and other animals. There are more than just the birds outside. So
The foxes, like the coyotes in the parking lot, they like to mark them. So that is destructive.
and if you look, you can see there's a shift in the patina where it gets a little bit greener. That's from foxes. Yeah,
It'll eat away at just like the coating in the patina. So that's why it changes color. And eventually, I guess it could be, just corrosive.
it'll etch through the patina.
And if you look at the mirrors of Diomedes in the gallery that's on Loon, those were outside for a really long time, like a couple decades. So that's why it's very green. And then with the noses, because it was outside, so people went up and touched them. So that's all from rubbing. Like, or if you go to universities and everybody rubs the butt, that's how those change color. So those are a good example of what can happen if it's outside for a long time. And the jaguars as well. Jaguars, panthers, jaguars. Yeah, so if you look closely, you can actually see the rain, because they were outside. So if you look on the sides of the jaguars, you can see the drips. So those were conserved a very long time ago. They were originally like a brown black, and they just had a shift in color to conserve them. It wasn't the artist's original intent, but that was the best way to go with the conservation. So that's how we maintain our sculptures. The other important thing is that when we're dusting with all that buildup, we don't want to just kick the dust back into our air and have it resettle. So some people might have these in their home. It's the Mealy vacuums, and that means they're HEPA certified. So HEPA is high efficiency particulate air. And then so the filter that uses it traps 99.97% of particulates over a certain size. So that's why we always have the vacuum going when we dust, because it kind of collects everything that we're kicking up. And then that has to be regularly changed. So the other thing is we do try and maintain our frames as well. So the same brush that we use on the bronze, you can use on a frame, especially those really intricate, like the Thomas Hill. You can't really use a cloth on that. Like you can cloth with the Rungus because it's smooth surface. The other ones they just catch, so we can also use these brushes on those. We just don't cross-contaminate them. They're labeled like frame brush or bronze brush. But on painting surfaces, if they're stable, we can very delicately use a badger hair brush. And a lot of artists will paint with this brush, like if they're painting a sky, like they'll blend clouds with it or blend colors. It's a blender brush. So we use it on the painting surfaces because, that is the same technique that they apply the paint with, and it's the same technique that we take the dust off with. We do not do this as often as we do like the sculptures and the frames, just because they're pretty well maintained, and we also don't want to do any unnecessary harm.
Did you say badger hair?
Badger hair.
Oh.
So it actually comes from a badger. And we use
I
the
have
same
to ask.
soap to clean with it.
I have a badger in my backyard, but you don't see him. He comes out at night. They can't be easy to collect hair from compared to goat and sheep. Why badger hair?
It's got to be the captive environment.
It is. Normally they do come from overseas. They come from Asia. So, those companies will farm raise them. And sable, they're kind of going, so if you go to Hobby Lobby and stuff now, you can buy those same brushes. But a lot of people and artists are using synthetic hair, and it's cheaper, easier to produce. There's no little byproduct involved. But the conservation centers just recommended badger hair. Do you guys have any other questions that I kind of skimmed over? Yeah.
It's much more involved. We never look at a badger the same way.
Yeah.
If you ever get to see one.
Yeah, they used to do camel. They even did squirrel back in the day. So squirrel hair, camel hair, just kind of especially like if you look at the Chinese ink brush work, they used whatever they had, resources, and then so like, especially before mass manufacturing, it was more kind of region-based on what animal hair you would use. And they are different textures. You know, a badger is going to feel different than a sheep. So some of those, and that's important when you're actually making artwork as well. Yeah, and we have different types of brushes like that. So we have more of the round, fluffy ones. We have like ones that are 4 inches. So it's, you have to be really mindful about like, are you doing a flat surface? Are you doing like more of a crevice? And if we do have, you know, those more intricate spots, we have the 100% pure cotton tint. So those will help with like the really like the signatures and things like that.
So there's a routine maintenance that you guys follow throughout the year. How long does it take to wax?
So when Joe and David were here, we try and not wax things that are inside just because it is like visitor discomfort with the smell. But when they do come in, they say like, you're taking too long. Like they are very like quick and then brush, quick brush, quick brush. So they say like if you're putting a lot of thought into it, you're thinking too much. It's more like a fast coat that you just kind of take off. But as far as dusting goes, I probably go a little slower than that. Because I like getting in, you know, the crevices and stuff. They're like, don't worry, like the brush is doing the work. You don't have to like put your mental thought.
So how long does it take you?
They were probably
So
done.
Joe and David work incredibly quickly.
Yeah. And also their experience is probably one of those reasons is why they work so quickly. But
They can do the entire sculpture trail in about 2 to 3 days. The first year I was here, before we hired them, I did it with Spencer and his team, which are Teton Art Services, who we hire sometimes to help us out. And it took us the entire summer, and we maybe got through 2/3 of what was out there. So that again is my inexperience versus their years and years and years of experience. Also, I was probably going very slowly and cautiously to make sure that every inch of the sculpture was covered. But yeah, they worked very, very quickly. So this they probably did in half an hour or less.
so they also have both of them going at once, and then his wife will come and help as well. So yeah, they just crank it out.
I watched them do changing seasons when they were here, and it was fascinating.
So that's
So changing seasons is pretty interesting because it was one that was slated for potentially having to be repatinaed. If you guys recall from about 4 years ago, there was that white buildup on the back of the sculpture. Do you guys remember? Well, it was discolored to the point where in collections committee we were talking about having somebody come out and potentially having to repatina it, which is a huge undertaking. But when Joe and David came, they said, oh no, this is just old wax. And they hot waxed it down and they re-waxed it. And if you look, it looks great. Patina's great.
It is subject to like those mud gobbers and those little insects. So we use the bamboo skewers to kind of like poke it and break it up because the wood's going to break against the bronze. So you don't have to worry about scraping it or anything. It wins every time. So that's definitely a challenge. But yeah, so that's what we use. And then sometimes if the bird poop's a little too old, we can use that. But those the mud gobbers do like those bison. They like that bison and then Buffalo Trail. So, yeah, because they like the hair.
They have a favorite.
Yeah,
They do. They do have their favorites.
yeah. So that's great. Yeah, and it has its new base, and that was a project. And so once the snow melts, you'll be able to appreciate it more.
So are you referring to cliff swallows when you say mud daubers?
No, so they're more like wasps.
Oh,
They're kind of insects, and they it's kind of like a hard cakey mud, and
Right.
they go in those little crevices like a cliff swallow, but they're maybe like an inch. and then they have their larvae and eggs in there.
The stuff for such a little tiny thing.
Yeah, and then same thing with the turkeys. Sometimes you'll see them up there. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of maintenance in the summertime that happens outside. And
Yeah,
then the
things you
inside
can't
is,
account for.
inside's continuous.
It's funny because like people ask like how fast or how routinely do you have to dust, and I say it kind of depends where it is in the building. Because this guy, and then when we had the elk over here, like every week it would be dusty again. But then if you look at the cats, maybe once every 2 months. So, and then same thing like even in the Rungus gallery, like one of the paintings, you can be like, oh, this looks like it's been a while, and then you go to the one immediately next to it, and it's like it got cleaned yesterday. So it's weird the way that the airflow will deposit things. And, so you never know which one's kind of going to need the maintenance. So that's why we do all of them, because you can't just pick and choose.
Such intricacies.
I'm just
Yeah.
glad I don't have to do it.
You get big bucks for that. You should.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
guys
thanks.
are interested in following along, helping out, let us know. It's a lot easier when we're closed on Mondays, because then we can have kind of the free time to do it.
That'll end when?
I think so. The first Monday in May is the first Monday that we're opening.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we try and be more discreet.
Who gets that cat? He's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, he is more as a. When the renovation happened, he might have gotten.
It was just done
Yeah.
a month ago.
When the floors went in and they had to cover him up.
Right.
Because he had to stay out while all this was happening. So we had a team and a lift that went up there and plastic wrapped him. So that was probably the last time we got cleaned. And before that might have been
It was
a long time.
And the totem.
So the totem again, that was when we wrapped it for the renovation. So it was very recent. But in between then is a little more.
But that's a different kind of cleaning. altogether.
We'll use the brush. We'll use the same brush again and the vacuum.
Okay.
It's just hard because you do have to get a lift out.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like a cherry picker
Yeah.
and go up there and go down. So that one's a little more difficult to maintain. Plus with the glass.
And we have waxed it. Being wood, it does take a wax, but it takes
So it can be waxed.
a lot. There's a lot that goes into choosing the right wax for the right thing. Bronze is a little harder to hurt when you come with the totem, and there's steel, there's acrylic, there's a lot of different materials that are on the totem. We have to be pretty careful. So we use, when we do wax it, we use just a paste wax.
And it smells just like the other one.
Yeah. We have to be a lot slower in that process with the totem.
Yeah, it's kind of a secret handy tool, you know?
So Liz, you're up and down around here on
It
ladders.
keeps me on my toes, yeah. That's why I like it.
When I first met Liz, how do you do all that lifting so high and everything?
Oh yeah, because, you know, Ron did all that stuff, and then I showed up. Sure, we'll move the bison around. So it's a good thing that we have Adam on the team. The guys in security will definitely lend a hand. So you take it as it comes. It depends on what we're moving. If it's like a lot of big things, we'll get Teton Art Services to come out, and they'll help with like when we had to move all the sculpture for the renovation. We had to get their team out because they also use special equipment sometimes, like the Impalas, the ones that are on the base. They have to kind of like it's called a gantry where they like wrap it around, and it kind of looks like a swing set. And that's how it had to be lifted up onto its base.
It's like an orthopedic lift, like they used to get people out of bed around.
Yeah, so the trick is how do you get one that's high enough to lift it up there, but that can fit in the building. So you take it apart and then make it inside. So.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much.